right, everyone. I know we already had some questions about SMS, so I'm glad people are hopefully interested. Yeah, we're just going to go through how to get started using SMS with engaging networks. And so we have supported SMS through our marketing automation tools for some time now. But we now also support broadcast SMS. So you can send, a group of supporters messages from engaging networks. So a few things that you'll need to kind of get started. The first thing that we're going to look at is actually just your account data structure and the field required to capture mobile numbers from your supporters. So that is going to be what's called a tagged field. And it's going to be called second phone number. So if we go here in this account to the account data structure, and we scroll down to the very bottom here, we'll see that there is a field created in this account called mobile number, and that field is tagged to second phone number. And so a tagged field just means that that has some predetermined functionality in the platform. And in this case, second phone number is what needs to be used for mobile phone. In addition to kind of that field being necessary, you also would need to create a new opt-in to associate for SMS. So you can do that under Pages, Components, and then Questions and Opt-ins. And we'll look at it in just a moment, but when you configure your Twilio extension, you're also going to be able to associate the opt-in that you create here with that extension. So those are kind of the two prerequisites in engaging networks for starting with SMS. Next steps would be actually purchase a phone number from Twilio. We have pretty extensive documentation on kind of everything you need to do that. One thing to note is you're going to want to make sure that it is configured for messaging. Some phone numbers can be configured just for voice, and so you would want to make sure that you purchase a number that's compatible with messaging as well. Then once you have those items, if we come over here to this other account. Once you actually purchase that number, there will be some credentials that are associated with that Twilio account and also that Twilio number, and you can sync it then to your Engaging Networks account. You can do that right under this Hello menu, and then Account Settings, and then at the very bottom here we have this option for extensions. And so you might be familiar with this section for other extensions you might use with Engaging Networks. But in this instance, we're going to look at this Twilio option. So if you go ahead and select that, you'll see that we already have two connected accounts here. You would just select this Connect Account option. And these are kind of the necessary credentials from Twilio to then sync your account. You'll see here, this is where you would have to apply the mobile opt-in that you created. This short URL domain, if you are going to be inserting links, page links in any of your SMS messages, this is the domain that those links will use for short links. Once these things are configured here, you'll see you'll see them configured here. One thing to call out here are just these available keywords here. So if we select that option, these are keywords that your supporters could send back to your number, and there's various responses. And so in this section, it's primarily related to kind of more so opting in, opting out, and then just some generic like information responses. So this would be this first option here, for example. This is opt-out text. So this is text that can be automatically appended when you're sending broadcast SMSs that would tell a supporter how to unsubscribe from your messages. So there is an option, and we'll look at it in just a minute, that would allow for that. But this is where you would provide a keyword for your supporters to basically unsubscribe or opt out of your messaging. This next section are just keywords that would allow supporters to subscribe to an opt-in. Next is the unsubscribe. And so it's, you might have a lot of the kind of standard ones that you might expect. So cancel, stop, things like that. And then this last option here is just the informational one. So if a supporter texted your number help, you could have a kind of a canned response that would go back to them if they sent that keyword. All right. The next thing to note, we can just go ahead and mock up an actual message. So it's going to be available also here in this marketing tools menu. So if we go there, and it'll be available here under broadcast. And so this is going to be very similar to the to building out an email in the tool, but you'll see we have the same menu. So there's an option to send an email broadcast, an SMS broadcast, or you can send a combination of the two. So I'm going to select SMS. Once we select SMS, you'll see down here, you have to actually select also the sender you would like it to come from. So if you had multiple Twilio accounts configured, you would see those available here. We can go ahead and save and go to the next screen here. This is going to be your audience selection screen. Again, very similar to the email tool. One thing to note is you would probably want to include criteria for your mobile opt-in. If your supporters are not opted into the mobile opt-in, they wouldn't be sent a text message. And so you would at least want that to be part of the component for building your audience for SMS. Okay, let's go to the next screen. And then on this next screen, again, very similar to the email tool, but we have the option to then create a core message. So if we select that, you have the option to create the message from scratch or clone from an existing message that you've already sent. If we just go ahead and select this option, it's given us a blank kind of phone to visualize what your text message will look like. Over here on the right is the section for the actual content of your message. So here we just have the message name, and then this is the content of the message that you're going to send. Maybe you want it, a call to action of some variety. In this, you can also insert supporter data. So that would be like, supporter first name, supporter last name, something like that. Or you can also insert a link. So that's either a link to an Engaging Networks page or a link to somewhere like your website. There are also some additional analytics that you can append to those links. So that includes Google Analytics and then all of the external reference fields that I talked about briefly in the other workshop. Another thing to note is that emojis are supported. So there we go. So if you want to insert an emoji in there, like you could do that. Put a little turtle in there. Those are supported, so you could also include those. If we go ahead and save, oh, sorry, I need a value for this. Yeah, so yeah, if there's any required values that you forget to put in at any stage, it will just display an error like that. So if we go ahead and save that. Again, similar to the email tool, there are, you can do conditional content and you can do split tests with SMS right now. If we go back into this particular message, for example, there's this option for conditional content here. And if we add a profile, it will allow us to have a different version of a message to send to a different profile. So if we switch to that one and we go to this content, we say, please save the turtles. For example, you can have, again, different content based on kind of the profile that is selected. So that is supported in SMS. So we'll go ahead and save that. In terms of sending, or if we go to the next screen here, continue to testing. You can send test SMS to yourself. Pretty much the same requirements are necessary. Your record that you're sending the test to would have to have a mobile phone number on the record, and it would have to be opted in order to be sent a text message. But you'll have your available either test recipients here, or you can search for them in this section here to send a test SMS. Sending is going to be very similar to the email tool. You have the option to either send immediately or you can schedule in the future. And those are the options there. One thing to note is also the required phone format for SMS it's something called the E164 format. And that basically just means that the phone number needs to have the country code appended to the beginning. And so for the US and Canada, that's +1, and then just a regular 10-digit phone number. So in addition to the opt-in and the phone number being in that tagged second phone field, you would need to have the E164 format for your phone numbers. To show you what the reporting looks like after you send one of these broadcasts, you can go here. We're going to go here to marketing tools. We're going to actually just have a look at one that's already been sent. The name of it here. Okay, so if we go here to the reporting, once you've sent one, so there were obviously not much engagement with this particular campaign, but just to give you an idea of what this quick report looks like with the different metrics, that's kind of what's available for SMS. Last thing I wanted to have a look at were something called keywords. So we're going to go back here to the marketing tools. So in addition to the keywords that you can configure with the Twilio accounts that you add as extensions, there's also available keywords here. And so these are more to use in a campaign. So maybe you send a broadcast text to your supporters with some sort of call to action, like text donate to this phone number or something like that. These keywords would best be used for that. So if, for example, if we edit this donate keyword, this is where you configure the keyword that supporters would send. The campaign type would just be auto reply or sign up. So an auto reply would send a text back to the supporter with the information that you configure, whereas a sign up would automatically opt them into whatever opt-in you associate. Here is where you then can configure the response or the message that's sent back to the supporter. And so you'll see in this case, we have a link to an Engaging Networks page. And so you're asking your supporters to donate or text donate. They get that link back and then are able to donate. And then you can have either a status of live or inactive for particular keywords. Again, you can configure the sender here. Earlier in the Twilio keywords, I referenced some opt-out language that you could include, have automatically appended to messages that you send. That is this option here, so include opt-out text. So in addition to the response they would receive here, they would also see this option, text stop to unsubscribe. This next section, post-reply actions, these are kind of automatic things that can happen after the reply. And so there's two options. You can basically mark a supporter as having taken action in and then associate an Engaging Networks page, or you can opt a supporter into a particular opt-in. And as you can see here, you can also have multiple actions post-reply. I think that's pretty much it. Again, we have very robust documentation on how to configure, how to purchase and set up your number in Twilio. There is a little bit of information that you would need to reach out to Engaging Network support for, including just some opt-out handling webhooks that are kind of necessary. So yeah, happy to answer any questions that folks have or help folks get started using SMS.
Thank you so much, Sam. All right, so I invited John up because a bunch of you were sending in questions that I didn't know if Sam or I knew. So we're going to bring
It's time to play Stump the SE.
Now we're all up here.
John can help us out here. So the first question has to do with the format of the phone number. So the +1, the +44 if you're over in the UK, and just the reason behind that. Sam, did you want to take that one?
That's just the required format for Twilio, so it has to include country code. I know there's a lot of regulation related to text messaging based on country, so I'm not sure if that is a kind of a component in it. But that's just that's a requirement for sending messages via Twilio.
Yeah, and when we added in the phone type in the account data structure, that's included in there to put the plus and then the country code in there. So we factored that into the input type where somebody's going to format that phone to field. So remember, it's the phone to field in your account that is the SMSable number.
Right.
Yep. And we also have a out-of-the-box validator. So it's a validator that you can apply to a field that will validate for that format as well. So it'll ensure that country code is included before a supporter can move forward.
And on that, if folks have been collecting mobile phones or have mobile phones, what's the best way to kind of get that +1 structure, would you say?
So if you have some random number of digits in a text field somewhere, how to then get that in the phone too? Well, I mean, a little bit of manual effort, I think, is really the only way. Pull out an Excel and then suss out the country code. I mean, obviously, North America is easy, +1, and then 10 digits.
There are e-appends for phone number, just like there are for email address and for addresses as well. You can do something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Twilio also has an API that allows you to know if it's a working mobile number, which is very nice as well. So you can leverage some of that. So there are a couple different ways to go that route. I think the one thing that we emphasize is get mobile number collecting on your forms. If you don't feel comfortable getting it on your donation forms because you're like, oh, friction, yada, 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 have a survey in your autoresponder that they open, that they click to give you your phone number. You really want to be working to collect that phone number field. It'll allow you to push into either a multi-channel approach to marketing or ideally an omni-channel approach to marketing, but you need to have more than just kind of that email to really be able to do it. All right, so our next question here, are keywords case sensitive? Sam? Are keywords?
I do not know, but
Ooh.
I will find that out.
I only know this because I just did a webinar on it, and they are case sensitive.
Oh.
So someone asked kind of, why are you capitalizing everything? We're just doing that because we think it's a lot easier to not mistake kind of lowercase letters get mistaken a lot more than uppercase letters do for folks, especially when you're looking at it kind of like at a distance. Uppercase letters are a bit easier to take in. Yeah,
and it's also from the user perspective, all in caps looks more like a command to then make something happen. Some programming languages are case sensitive in all caps, and so I guess that's where it carried over from.
Yeah. Is there a benefit to asking the texter to reply donate before sending the link? Why not send the donate link in the first text?
I think it's more of like a multi-channel option. So you could have like a direct mail piece or something that has that message, or there's other channels that you could use to make that call to action rather than just a broadcast SMS. Using those keywords rather than a broadcast SMS message.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll also auto-populate the form with the supporter information on file.
Yeah.
So it reduces friction there too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Does Twilio require explicit SMS consent as part of their contract with clients?
Yes, and that is like one of the reasons why even if you, even if your audience didn't include supporters with a mobile opt-in, the software or Twilio and engaging networks will not send a message to a supporter unless they have opted into the mobile opt-in.
Yeah, and that's why there's a specific, you can select which of your opt-ins is that designated opt-in.
Right. Yeah, and that's something that when you sign your contract with Twilio, they make it very clear that you need explicit permission for SMS. They're much stricter on that than around emails, where it's a lot more loosey-goosey in terms of implicit and explicit. And it's also in the terms of contract that you'll sign with us when you get the module. So we take it really seriously. That's why, when Sam was showing you the Twilio options, that's like the stop, the unsubscribe, those are all at the Twilio level for management. So you can't even not have the stop option to have someone unsubscribe. It's not even anything you can choose to not use because of that, because of how specifically in America, how the FCC works and how it works in pretty much every country. All right. What kind of engagement is seen by clients to date using SMS in terms of adoption? Is it better for donor stewardship versus driving donations? That is why Cameron is talking to you in 7 minutes about SMS strategy. So hang on to that question because that'll tee us right up to have Cameron come on in just a few minutes. So yeah, that was the idea here, was to show you the technical side here and then have someone come in and talk about the strategic side of it. So I'll save that question to make sure that we get it over to Cameron. The phone number field that we saw in your presentation is a text field. That may mean supporters may enter text instead of numbers. How can we prevent that from happening?
Yeah, so this is just a test account that we had configured. But yeah, maybe on your page, you might want to use a phone number field type because, for ease of use, that will also pull up a number pad if a supporter clicks into that field on mobile, for example, rather than their whole keyboard. And so, I think making it a phone number field would be valuable. Also, maybe using that validator that I referenced earlier to try to, as much as for data integrity, as much as possible, ensure that supporters are entering their phone number as it's required. But yeah, generally, I would recommend using the phone number field type for that.
And last question here: if a donor replies without a keyword, are we able to see that response, John?
Later this year, you will, because the SMS inbox will be in the product. And you'll be able to see all those responses individually by each supporter and reply back to them.
Amazing. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, John, for guesting. Thank you.